All right, see you at 6 p.m. I'm gonna call to order the planning commission meeting for the village of Belleville on January 14th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Yes, fine service.
Present.
He was gonna come on virtually, he
All
told.
right, I'll check to see what for him virtually, but he's not here at the moment. Absent, Gary Ziegler.
Here.
Debbie Baumgart here. Sorry, well, sir. Larry Unlow.
Here.
Forward.
Public comments. So, if someone has public comment,
I have a couple, first Lori. Here. On my list first, if you wanted to speak.
okay, so if you're gonna come to the podium, state your name and address and.
It wouldn't matter.
I can talk.
No, you can.
Okay, my name is Lori Let's Rescue, and I live at 213 Orange Terrace in the West Village area. I'm here to just ask some questions and give a few comments on what's going on with our community and our developer. I'm confused. Sue did a good job at our meeting this week talking about it. We got our first real look at what was going on at our meeting. But I'm wondering, is this village driven? Is this West Village driven? What is this being driven by, and who has the decision making of when things are completed? I went through the 8 items on there, and I did feel items 5, 6, and 8 were appropriate. Anywhere where there's any drainage issues or things like that, that should be rectified. I agree. It doesn't affect me, but I agree for my fellow residents that stuff should be fixed. Number 1, I do not believe this should be as an issue stated, except for the entrance of Olson Avenue. I feel homeowners are content with the plantings. This is on all these plantings that were supposed to be made. I mean, if this was to be an issue, I think it should have been an issue a long time ago. We're all now been there for quite a while. I've been there for years. There's people been there longer than me. I think we're pretty content with what we have, except for the Olson entrance. That needs to be trees and sod and topsoil, all that kind of stuff. Everything else, I don't think the developer should be held to it. I kind of looked where it said that he may pay out on these at $350 a piece. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I have 3 trees in my yard. One's a maple. I didn't pay $350. I looked at the landscaping plans. Many of them are arborvitaes. And we wouldn't want arborvitaes to begin with. And I don't believe them to be at the cost. I think that's just a little outrageous on my side. The street lights. This is a big concern of mine. I live on Bowen Terrace. And I live in the middle, where they're saying it's a dark area. If you go on Bonnie Lane has exactly the same 2 streetlights that Bowen Terrace does. The only reason why Bowen Terrace may not be as bright is because the houses in the middle, their backyards are facing Bowen Terrace. So if people have their house lights on Bonnie, it's going to be brighter. But there is a light at the beginning and the end, just like Bonnie. And I've talked to people in Bowen. We don't see a necessity for a light in the middle of that block. Do we need a light at the mailboxes? Absolutely. To me, that's kind of a dangerous area. There's parking stalls there. There should be a light instead of one just in front of Bonnie Francis's house, because that does not light up the mailboxes. I do agree that if Jim said he was going to put up a suitable sign at the entrance, he should put up a suitable sign and fix that area there. The area about the topsoil, we all accepted our yards. Some of us might have gone and redone some, but if we had issues with topsoil, we should have complained when we were getting our yards filled. Some people did, some got them fixed. The rest of us just went on, made our yards look nice. Should we have topsoil along Olson Avenue? Yeah, we should. But anywhere else, I don't even think topsoil should be an issue in this conversation. If people have issues, it should be individual homeowners taking out those kind of issues. All I'm gonna say.
You.
I'll run it down here. You wanted to speak.
That was quick.
Take 3 minutes.
3 minutes. My name is John Colson, Colson. I live at 209 Bonnie Lane in the West Village subdivision. And all that I want to say cannot be contained in 3 minutes. But there are many things that were promised by this developer and were not done. And one of which that was mentioned in the letter from the town to Mr. Olson was he didn't put down topsoil. When we go to dig to put in a bush, or when we go to try to grade out with a rake, oh, we can't, because it is this dense red clay. It just doesn't want to. Topsoil would have helped. We have taken it upon ourselves to do our own plantings because he didn't do the plantings he said he was going to do, and which it turns out are practically impossible anyway. But we want to plant bushes at the very least to pretty up the neighborhood, but it's really hard to do so. And I think it would help if not, if the village can't require Mr. Olson to put the topsoil in, at the very least, he could reimburse us for the cost of putting topsoil in, should we want to do so. I am in full agreement with Lori, my neighbor, about there not being a need to put another street lamp in the middle of the stretch of Bowen Terrace. I live in the corner of Bowen and Bonnie, and I already have a street lamp that glares into my bedroom at night. I've had to put blackout curtains like I've been in the middle of a war in order to sleep at night. And it's still difficult because the light seeps around the curtain. Might have to block in the window. I don't know what's going to happen, but the lights that he put up are way too bright. And they are aimed into the houses on either side of the light pole. And that ain't right. And I would love to see something done to mediate that if it can be. I have many more things to say. I guess we'll see if they come up. Thank you very much.
The only other submission I have is an email from Harry Belleville. From 215 Bonnie Lane. He says, my wife and I are the owners of the home on lot 17 regarding item 3 in the letter, memo and HOA letter attached to the agenda. I want to advise that 2, not 3, most northern parking areas have not been built out, and that would be physically impossible to install the parking area noted on the side and between the homes on lot 17 and 18 due to the position of the home on lot 18. Thank you. All the people that I have registered tonight.
Okay. Right. On to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests it, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered the first item after the approval of the consent agenda. We have the minutes from December 10th, 2025.
Move to approve the consent. Second.
Motion by Gary, second by Larry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is to discuss and consider outstanding developer issues with the West Village neighborhood.
So, back in October, when West Village preliminary plat came up, the plan commission directed me to find the development plans and inspect it just to make sure that it was developed to spec, basically to what was approved. I did that. I found these 8 deficiencies. Brought it to David's attention, and then also to the developer's attention. And yeah, after researching a little and walking the site with the developer and everything, these are the issues, and what input I received from the developer. I also did print off and provide you guys an email from the line to the developer talking about the position of the streetlights and how they're installed that way. We're going to see this afternoon. But yeah, and then my recommendations for possible remedies. Granted, some of them aren't perfect, but this is a extreme scenario. So.
Not seen this letter from Alliant yet, so I'm gonna take a moment to read that. And can you summarize your conversation with Alliant here? Because it looks like it's missing a
That's
map
too-
or something.
That was to
Oh,
Jim.
that was to Jim.
Yeah, I just followed the conversation with the land. From what I gathered from it, the plan that was presented, to planning commission approved varies from, I guess, their standards, I guess, national acceptance standards. And so they went ahead and changed the plan to match their standards.
So the letter from the HOA, that was the consensus of the majority of the members of the HOA, right, Sue?
That was wrote after the board met with Ian and Gabe at a meeting
Okay,
and all talked about issues 1 through 8
okay,
and what would be in the best interest of the HOA.
okay. So,
Here, may I say something quickly? The residents of West Village was never approached on any of these things as to what our feelings were on it. This is strictly coming from the board.
I realize there's more competing things here. I just say for my memo, I try to keep as factual as possible and from my recommendations, I kept it to things that, because we had approval over these items, these are the things that we have input and control over now, enforcement control over now. So we can only enforce the plan as it was approved here. So any of the other things, of how they might like to see things done now that vary from the plan and what if that all gets into a murky civil conversation. That's not something that we can decide on. Does that make sense? Okay.
Either. If I sum it up, maybe we can only enforce to what the original spec was. And anything else that doesn't match that is really something different.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest murkiest thing, on here, I would have to say would be, like I said, I got this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to reach out to this guy at Alliance and talk to him and just confirm what's going on. So I can do that, that's fine. But the tree planting, we don't have a per planting fee. We don't have any precedent for that. We do have a per lot fee in lieu of planting. A tree, which is $350. I know you can buy a tree cheaper than $350, but you can't buy and pay someone else and put it in for less than that. That's what I based it on.
And that's per lot. That's not
That's
per.
per lot,
Yeah.
correct. So that's what I based the recommendation on in here. If there's some other understanding it could come to, great. But that's the only precedent we have for something like that. And as I believe was mentioned before, not all the plantings were trees. The vast majority of them were about 2 to 4 foot arborvitae and, shrubs and stuff like that. So it's not an apples to apples conversation, the total number of plantings versus the recommended fee variation.
Like to come up with,
Yeah, you can jump.
on around October 15th, I walked the site with Ian, him and I walked the site after he made me aware of some of this stuff here. Some of this stuff on the SIP, like the Alliant Energy, they worked with, I believe it was General Engineering at the time to do their parking lot lighting, or I'm sorry, subdivision lighting. And that's what they came up with. That's who installed it. I talked to, of course, the guy who did it, he has retired from Alliance. I talked to his underlay, Kevin. He sent me the email based on the documents he saw. So, Ian can give him a call just to see what was done there and why it was done. To my understanding, according to him, and what we're trying to backtrack was, that's what Alliance agreed with Belleville at the time, and that's what it was. So, I understand. As far as like the trees and stuff like that, I don't have a problem doing the majority of this stuff. I just, some of the stuff I talked to some of the residents in there, I have no problem doing with a lot of this stuff. However, some of this stuff is wanted by other people, and some of the stuff like the parking lot striping. I'll be happy to stripe. In fact, all we were gonna do, we just, ran out of good weather in October to do that. But if they wanted to stripe, I'll be happy to stripe it, stuff like that. As far as, the trees go, if they pick 27 sites that they want 27 trees planted, I would be happy to do that. I know it's an arborvitae too. That's what we originally planted because it was a good a block for the neighbors. And when we first did this subdivision a long time ago, one of the concerns was the people in the Petrie subdivision didn't want to see this and vice versa. So consequently, we were going to put a line of trees up there. That didn't happen because a lot of people who walked ahead of time wanted fences opposed to trees. So there's not a lot of room back there, but I don't have a problem doing that. As far as the number 3, the parking lot striping, if we were to stripe, in the roads or by the mailboxes, wherever they decide as a whole, not as a board, as a whole, because there's some different people want different things over there. I can't make everybody happy, but I can try to make the majority of them happy. I have no problem trying to. As far as number 4 goes with the sign, it is flared out, but the one thing that's missing is the centerpiece, which we were going to put in there, a sign with concrete around it. And after talking to Bill, I got proud, and I don't remember who was at the fire department, but they said, that would impede, some emergency service people's coming in. That's why that got deleted. The sign never got put up. I guess we never even picked out a sign, but if they were to pick out a sign, I would be happy to install that and pay for that. It's not a big kid. In that little area there too, all these yards got sodded. None of this was seeded. Everything was sodded. So, it is in Mr. Colton's a reference, it is sandy clay soil over there. That's why we sodded every single yards. It was this heating, we probably could have saved a third of what we sodded because that was the right thing to do. And I get what John's saying is, if you dig down, it's hard. It's definitely hard, but that whole area is sandy soil for the most part. That's going to be sandy clay. That's why we sodded. The front there, we did not sod because I had no means of watering it at the time. But if they want me to sod it and they choose to water it and keep it up, I can be happy to do that if that's what they want. Other than alternative for that, you can reseed it and otherwise it will grow in just like sod does. But sod obviously is going to have to be watered in that area. There's only a couple houses close to that with hoses. But I don't have a problem with that. Number 5 is there's a culvert in the back there behind lot 22. There needs to be a guard put on that, which I actually have the guard that I ordered and got in. We just kind of ran out of time with the weather to put it on, and the riprap that's around there too. There's a little check dam that was supposed to be in there that for some reason got flattened out, and I intend to make that little check dam, back there where it's supposed to be. So I guess at the end of the day, there's a couple other smaller things on here too, but, we have done, actually, one thing, number 5. I'm sorry, number 6, down by the retention pond, there's a couple parking stalls that are there. We can get probably an extra parking stall, it's like 25 feet across. I could probably pick up one extra parking stall there, smaller parking stalls for smaller cars, obviously, to do that. But however, one thing that they were saying, or Ian and I had talked about, is the water that comes down behind the land goes into that and into the pond that it was supposed to. There's a riprap that's down there. I went there today because I saw a letter from somebody that had, I believe it was from the West Village Condo Association, aka Sue, who sent, so there's construction debris in there, which I didn't see any construction debris. There's a couple papers and stuff like that. However, we did fix that last time after I talked to Ian, by creating a little swale in there for the water drains into the rocks, then goes into the retention pond. Other than that, I did notice too that whoever they have plowing their snow, it had already, dented that up anyways, because they ran their, the tires in there. So I did observe that today when I was out there. But once again, we did fix that, and it's a 5-minute fix as far as that goes. Just regrading it, but that's a kind of a maintenance item that would be on that on a yearly basis. But I'd be happy to do that. So at the end of the day, I would get my preference is, I have no problem doing a lot of this stuff. I'd like to get a letter for some direction from the whole West Village Condo Association as a whole. Not as just the board, but as a whole. So like, I don't worry, so they have to put in some other stuff too. And, I don't want to put a light pole in front of John's house there, and he's already bitching, he can't sleep at night because it's too bright. That unfortunately is more of a line thing based on national standards, which I'm not an engineer, but an electrician, I don't know anything about that, but they do what they do, and it usually be in can that be turned down? Probably. Yeah. Can that be, to make John happy and he can sleep at night? We could probably talk to Lion, maybe they can put a less or, LED bulb in there as an example, but. And I would be happy to do that as well. So I guess what I'm asking is from you guys is maybe coordinate through Ian and to find out exactly what they want, and they want the trees to go. If they want sod, or if they want to get reseeded, because obviously it's going to cost them money to water it. Keep it that way.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize a little bit.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Sorry, I was running.
you're willing to work with every one of these items or have a solution already.
Yeah.
And you're looking for some clear direction as to exactly like where trees to go and that kind of stuff, so that everyone is happy. I guess it would be.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone, but as.
Right, as a consensus. I mean, that would have to come in writing in some kind of plan, I would assume, of, trees here and not there, versus the original site plan. So,
I mean, obviously the West Village we can get together and figure out where. Give me a flag, we can put them in. I mean, what kind of trees, that's another topic of discussion too. And, I know originally in the entryway there, we wanted to block off, a Petrie subdivision from the entryway there, but there's spruce there right now. Unfortunately, it'd take a long time to grow, so.
I have a question, Mike, when we're done.
Go ahead.
Number 5, it says the area does not appear to be related to specification, and it appears that the culvert itself has collapsed. That's going to get addressed also?
Yeah, I've actually got that piece that we just didn't have time to install before the winter came.
Okay.
So it got crushed. Somebody must have ran it over with something during construction.
Is there a date now that a time frame that we're expecting these things to be done, or
I mean,
in faith, or how are we proceeding with this?
I'm asking you.
I mean, to that point, I mean, I think, I've read the letter from the HOA board. I'm not sure who's on the board and who's not, and, and who spoke tonight that's on the board or not on the board, but I think there's still a lot to be figured out, I think, from the HOA side. And I mean, I understand it would be easy to, it's easy, but it would be, if we took care, tried to mediate that here tonight, but I think this is some stuff that needs to be discussed amongst the HOA and Jim to come back here with a resolution, because we're definitely not gonna make everybody happy tonight if we make a motion, I don't think. So, I think some of these things are obvious, but, some people want more lights, some people don't, some people want more trees, some people don't.
As far as the lights go, I think in light of the new information, there's no way you guys can make a decision on that tonight.
Well, again, I'm thinking like, I'll look at the lights on the football field, guessing they come in and they can direct those lights to, a slightly different angle or something like that might take care of the issue, or like I said, a little less wattage or lumen in the lights that are there, but,
Even a shield.
or a field, yeah, so, cause I mean, that's was my first thought was the shield, is because you can't have light going on. Usually it's to not direct light up. So, but I think, so. And I know it sounds like we're trying to pass the buck here, but there's a lot of issues that, like I said, we can make a motion and we're not gonna make anybody happy here tonight. I don't think. No.
Well, I think you're on the right track, Gary. We've
Yeah.
got all these people to sit down and work it out, but I think maybe from us, we want you back here at the next meeting with progress report. Otherwise, this could drag on and on and on. I think we need to set some,
Yeah, I mean, and honestly,
Things and dates.
if they came up with, exactly what they wanted, what needs to be striped, if everything needs to be striped, so be it. They don't want it all striped. And I talked to a couple of people on low end that didn't think that it needed to be striped. One of the parking things that didn't get installed on Bonnie, that was Harry who sent that to you. And I honestly, once the CIP got done and engineers took over, that's something that I honestly never even noticed. But at the end of the day, if we were to do that extra 2 spots, it would be coming closer to their homes, which they might have a problem with that. But
I mean, what's going on,
I mean, all the homes are in the line, so it's not like it's.
kind of what's going on here, it's no different than the village board or any of the committees. We may not all agree, and then we have to try to work it out. May not always happen at that meeting. We should have been at finance the other night, but, there are, so again, like I said, I don't want to make it sound like we should pass the buck here, because we shouldn't do that, but I think, obviously there's some different opinions, which is going to be on any board, between the board and all the members of the HOA. So, that's why I asked the question earlier about if this, was this letter just a board meeting, or was it a meeting of all the members of the HOA or whatever? But, my thought is that there needs to be, and again, I'm not sure how your bylaws are set up and everything, but, my thought is that you probably need to have a member meeting, and by majority vote, to decide what you're going to do over there. Again, knowing that you're not going to make everybody happy.
Can I make a comment? Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
It was my understanding that this was village oversight of the site plan, that the decisions for this were going to be made by the original site plan and by village ordinance, which takes the feelings and the thoughts and the wants out of it. It's by site plan and by ordinance. Is that not the case of what we're doing here?
That is the case.
Right.
The ones don't really matter. You need to follow the plan. Where the trees go, that's the conversation. How many trees? That's what you guys need to decide, and then that group can decide where the trees go.
Exactly. So if we follow the site plan specifically for all the plantings, they're going in people's yards, and they might not want them in their yards anymore.
And that I agree that we shouldn't follow the site.
And same with if you want topsoil, we'd have to rip up everyone's yards and, I mean, all of that.
think-
So,
The best route that you should go in my opinion, is go down each one of these lists, talk about what is realistic in your mind. And then if you want us to come back at the next time with a compromise, then staff will work with both parties to kind of find a compromise. But I need direction from you on where that compromise exists. So if it's, let's talk about trees for a sec. Technically, there's hundreds of trees that are missing. Maybe not realistic. Maybe you just put a certain amount of trees. Then we work together to figure out where that tree is, where those trees go. And then at the next planning commission, we will map out exactly where those trees are going. For the light poles, they're missing 2 lights. Where are those 2 lights going? Now that we're getting 2 lights, or not, like, it's not a conversation if, it's a matter of where. So we need to that, in my opinion, is something that needs to be discussed. The parking stalls, option to stripe, no, those need to be striped. That was in the plan. That's not a question if they want it or not. It's gotta be striped.
If they really don't want it, they can sandblast it after, but that's what's approved. That's what should be there, so.
So I think that's what you guys need to do here is talk about what are you willing to do on each one of those and then give staff direction to make that reality.
All right, so I agree.
And then it doesn't have to be decided tonight, and there's definitely compromise that needs to be happening. But I think you guys need to give direction on where that compromise, what's the minimum maximum?
So I have a copy of this now that I can notes on, and I want to go through, like Gabe said, we're going to go through each of these 8 items and get our kind of game plan for it.
So we're on the same, are we gonna look at the letter to Jim, or I think we should look at the letter that, the memo that Ian sent to us?
That's what I would look at, yeah, the one that Ian wrote.
So, the first one is the landscaping plan calls for a total of 214 trees with specific placement locations and species instead. So this one, for me, it's got to come to a compromise because people don't want their yards changed and their landscaping changed to meet the SIP, right? I think that's probably an agreement. So, I think that settles this item. Any other discussion?
Is there,
Are we looking at the letter of the plan? What are we looking at?
We're looking at Ian's letter.
That he sent to us.
Yeah.
There is something was where it gets to be done.
Just have a wayland.
It's attached on the
On
agenda.
the agenda.
There are some areas where it still could be done, like around the entranceway. Cause that's, it's all private property, but this is private property that's
That's
not
something here?
somebody's lot, somebody's yard. It's the outside.
It's titled West Village Outstanding Issues Memo 1/6/2025.
See your third attachment, so not the letter, not the plan, the one where memo.
Yeah.
This one?
No, that won't work.
Third one. We can't find it. You're looking for a letter and it says memo, sorry.
Okay, so regarding plantings,
since there's so many trees missing, a compromise is 1 tree per every lot. And then we determine where that goes.
That's what I put as a recommendation. I don't know, it matters not to me whether or not they're planted by.
I will plant.
Or
Great.
if there's the fee in lieu of, we have absolutely no precedent whatsoever for $350 per planting that's actually missing on the landscaping plan. So
I think it's
Don't do that.
preferable if Jim does do the planning. And so Jim works with the neighbors to figure out where exactly that goes, works with the village, and then we come back and say, on the map, these are where the 24 plantings are going. Do you approve?
I have a question since I'm still new to this. I heard the trees put in before.
Well, most of those trees that were in the living wall, but a lot of people chose to do fences ahead of time. When their houses were being built, they wanted to do fences to separate the Petrie subdivision from this one. So there's maybe 50 feet in the back of the yards, there's, a swale in there, there's really no room to put those trees. That's where the majority of those trees.
So you're proposing 1 tree per lot.
That's just a random number, but yes.
Yeah.
There's one tree per lot, there's hundreds of trees missing, one tree per lot, and then the homeowners can decide, well, no, I don't want it, or where do we want it, and then we can figure it out together and then come up with a plan. That's the easiest compromise.
They're missing at the entrance. Can we just put those trees at the entrance and the common property?
As long as the whole group agrees with that, I think that's, yeah, I think it's the easiest. I don't want to dictate where you guys put a tree. Right. You need to dictate how many trees are put.
So that covers number one. Number two, lighting plan called for streetlights to be placed at specific locations throughout the development. 3 streetlights were placed incorrectly according to the plan, with an additional 2 streetlights which were not installed. So
I can change, just reach out to Alliant on this one and just get clarification from Keith at Alliant. Yes.
But you know, the line says they need more streetlights, so maybe we'll put it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But I can definitely let everybody know.
Yeah, call Keith, and he seemed to be really easy to work with. Unfortunately, he was not the guy who started it, but.
So I
What's going on?
with that, if there's an alliance, are you guys fine with Alliant if they say no, there's no need for another light? Are you okay with that? Even though it says there should be. If they do say you need 2 lights, do you want it to go to original plan, or do you want us to just figure out where's the best location?
We're talking about the difference between streetlights and maybe something else. So streetlights, like if they're already bright enough and, you know, Alliant's not going to do it or hasn't done it or for some reason can't do it now, then there's at least one area that it seems like there's a consensus that a light is for sure needed. That's why the mailboxes. Maybe it doesn't need to be as 30 foot, you know, right? Knock your socks off street light. Maybe it needs to be something else. So, I mean, that can probably be worked out, but like I said, I just need more information.
So what I'm hearing is you're gonna reach out to Alliant to get some clarification. And then, after that, a determination will be made basically in the same kind of compromising fashion if possible.
Yeah, I can let everybody know what that, right?
I would guess they would tell you where those lights should go though, right?
Well, it's
For lighting
here,
plan.
Well, we have a lighting plan that specifies exactly where it's.
and it says here on the last paragraph of that email, please note lighting design should be developed in accordance with naturally accepted standards. However, in many communities we serve, the municipal authority may request that we install lighting which may not meet those standards. Regardless of this, we are required to install the facilities that they request. So they will put in the light wherever we tell them to put in the light.
We did request that, right?
And so they did do what we requested. They're even at the beginning.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's understand that there's something else, like with G's here.
But yes,
But
Okay, so we've got,
Some GEC windows and one with fluid lights.
that would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, back in the day.
You approved the SIP or the, and do the plan.
Yeah, you've been the one to review it.
Yeah.
okay, so we have a game plan for dealing with lighting, correct? We can move on to the next item.
do you have a plan? What is the plan?
Ian's reaching out to Alliant for more clarification. And once he gets that, they're,
So if they say they don't need any lights, are you okay with that? If they say they do need lights, do you want us to figure out where they go?
well, if we do need lights, we need to figure out where they go.
Yeah.
If they don't need lights,
Problem solved.
HOA specifically needs a light by that mailbox, pitch dark, can't see to get to your mailbox. We are 55 plus. Dangerous.
I have to agree with her, even if I don't believe we need 2 streetlights, but I do believe Jim should have put some type of light.
Was one of those lights in the original plan by the mailbox?
Yes.
Okay, well, that should be neat.
That's a
Like-
Yeah. Again, I don't know if it needs to be a 30-foot one there, but, whatever.
on to item 3 then. Parking stalls that exist have to be striped or properly painted as required by the SIP. Also appears at 3 northernmost on-street parking areas along Bonnie Lane, 6 stalls were not constructed at all. So Ian already said that they must be striped.
Yep.
So that is solved that first part. And so what was the stance on constructing the other 6 stalls?
It's actually did make a really good point a minute ago. Now that the plat is completed, the replat is completed, those are private lots. So it's not, or at least the entirety of those parking spots is no longer on shared property. So it's on private property. So that's a nice little complication.
Right.
That has not been filed though, that is not final.
Assuming that it will be filed, like by the time you actually get around to constructing, those would be partially be on private property, if not entirely on. So,
So what lots are those supposed to be at, the stalls?
those are between, these are all on Vine. Between lots 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Just the.
They're pretty much all the way north of that little cross lane that connects.
You said, Ian, you said 17, 18, and 19 and 20, correct?
17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, 22.
21, 22 is there.
Oh, okay. All right.
So 20, 21, 22 is not final.
So is that, are those where the bump outs are here?
Yeah, they're both.
It's this plan, it's I'm on there, I'm just like on the second page of that, people. Just for lots is what I was.
The issue with that is our streets are narrow and people are parking on the street. It does block emergency vehicles. It is a safety concern.
Oh, it totally is there by that. Yeah, so it's the 2 northern ones. So 17, 18, 19, and 20. There's 4, not 6.
What was that again?
So there's 2 of them in between 17 and 18 in the farther northern part, and then 19 and 20. Those 2 are not there.
Yep, correct. So 2 bump outs, 4 stalls total instead of the.
Yes.
So we did
17, 18, 19, and 20. I see 4 bump outs on this SNP. Those are not in, but the ones at 21 and 22 are.
Those are, yes. That's my bad.
18, 19, 20.
And they're just not striped. Okay, so that's 6 stalls total on Bonnie Lane then, okay.
No, 4.
4 yet.
For them.
4 those
Or
are.
they would need to be done, 6 total on the whole, yeah, this whole, everything north of the crossroad there, so.
Here,
4 total.
must be here.
6 total. 2 are there.
2 are there, 4 more need to be added. Yeah, and I know, I remember when this was first being proposed, that was definitely an issue that there needed to be something there because the streets are so narrow that you can't, and I agree, those streets are narrow, you can't. People parking in the streets are gonna block emergencies, so I don't think there's any doubt that those need to go in, so.
So you just said that they need to go in.
Yeah.
And that's lot or parking stalls are numbered 26, 25, 26, 27, 28.
It's not complicated by anything that Ian turned out.
I think it will be complicated by that. So if the plan commission does want that, staff will look into what that ramification actually does. And can present back on.
They have those 4.
Yeah, especially on private property, you know.
Okay, all right, yeah, no, but. Okay.
So we'll review the legality of that.
Okay, so what I have for spend right, it is, so there's 6 existing stalls, not 4. And they all need to be striped. So all the existing ones need to be striped. And then,
Everything needs to be.
okay,
The offsite by the pond and by the mailboxes all needs to be striped. There's multiple areas.
All apartments all need to be strict, correct?
So all the other ones are in 15, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 on the south side are all in, right? Okay,
In but not strict.
okay. So everything needs to be striped. Everything that's in there that's not striped now needs to be striped. And we need to look at adding the new ones and whether we can do this.
right, so,
Okay.
so adding the 4 new staff are gonna look into what that involves with potentially becoming private property and that stance, right? Four, the SIP calls for the entry drive from Olson Ave to be flared out and for a center installed to be, center island to be installed with signage, lights, plantings, driveways is not flared, there's no signage. So supposedly in the past, the chief had wanted this changed to remove any obstruction from center of the driveway. And if I recall, in one of the other letters, it was recommended not to put the center island in there, and it was essentially determined to be okay, right? For
I think so. It would be my recommendation that I work with the chief, all chiefs, to make sure that is the current, how they feel in written form. That way it does cover you when, if you choose to forego that restriction, that is written by the chiefs that, yeah, that's not a public, that's a public safety hazard.
Because the road is wider at the entrance there.
It is.
And narrows down. So, I mean, you know, it looks like it was made, if I'm looking at this plan, you know, it was made a little wider there so they could put that island in. But yeah, I agree. I think if 3 chiefs don't, if they think it's a hazard, then, and I would check even with, oh, we don't plow. So never mind, I was gonna say, don't check with Drew.
Fire department, that's the biggest
So
issue.
yeah, I'll check with fire EMS and the chief and police chiefs what their thoughts are.
To,
And if they say it's not safe, I fully back that. I think that's the right move.
okay,
I mean, that's one shouldn't be a problem in ambulance, but yeah, fire truck getting through there could be an issue, so.
I think that's what we'll say at the time.
so regarding the entrance, there's also other items here, signage, lights, and plantings. So, Jim had already mentioned he was willing to put in a sign if something's agreed on with the West Village. And then I guess plantings will be covered with the number 1.
Problem.
Yeah, that's how I would do it.
Yeah, if they don't.
Those plans were included in the overall count, that you put forward, landscape plan. And then there is a light there.
There's a light
on their side.
There's streetlights already.
So,
There's a light there already.
yep, it's on the neighbor immediately to the north.
North, yeah.
So the light is already there.
So Ian, I'm on page 2 of the SIP, so shows the entrance there, so that big dot is the street light then? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it looks like a little sun. So if you zoom in,
Not on here, it doesn't, but okay.
well, in most of the face, it looks like,
Okay.
looks like a little
And
sun.
then at the start of the corner there is the other one, okay, right?
Well, there's also,
Oh, no, that's good. Okay. I'm used to a 32-inch screen in my office, so. Thinking here's a little,
yeah, that's an animal.
okay, all right, okay. All right,
I think honestly, I think the light is better placed where it's at. It's not in the front directly underneath. That's just kind of asking for.
All right. taken care of. 5 is a stormwater collection area which was to be graded to the center to meet a culvert between lots 21 and 22. This area does not appear to be graded to specification, and it appears that the culvert itself has collapsed. So that needs to be put in, right?
Yeah, well, so Jim said he checked it out and that it was graded. The culvert needs to be,
It needs to be redone. Yeah, the whole area needs to be redone.
But yeah, and then there's another kind of muddy area where people have put up fences that span across the stormwater swale. And they have the supports for the fences are in the middle of the swale, which is against state admin code. So it's a whole thing. Okay, so there's that too. So the fences are gonna have to, like, if not be removed entirely, be reconstructed. So there's not a support right in the center for the stormwater supposed to flow.
Okay, so culvert will be replaced, graded to code. And what else?
I say, honestly, 5 through 8 is, it's pretty. I mean, it all has to do with the grading of the stormwater facilities. I am no engineer. I would just leave it to Kevin and let Kevin sort of like those things are constructed to spec and that's it.
There is an engineering map that coordinates with that and gives you the description of how that check valve, how the dam is supposed to be built. It's supposed to have a water basin there that collects before it goes into the culvert, and that's not present at all.
Kevin's definitely gonna have to get involved in that.
I'll work with Kevin on that, because I don't think that's true, but he's got the plans.
Yeah, he should have the answer.
Yeah,
Did you say you checked the grading of this well?
yeah, there was a 1% grant from first house all the way down. Water
You're
does,
saying what?
there was a 1% grade from. All the way down to the swale, or all the way down to the culvert.
Okay, that's,
Well, and the only reason we had to put that culvert in is because we were doing the right thing, because when Petrie did what they did, they weren't grading any spots, and one of the complaints, here, maybe you remember this, at the plan commission was, we needed to install that culvert because we're taking some water on ours too, so that kind of got strange at the last minute, because neighbors, Petrie neighbors, not happy with how their developer graded their lot, so we took some nice water.
okay, so it says here, developer stated they had checked the grades and that they were correct, but no certification of this has been received. Can we get a copy of the certification that this is done and correct?
Yeah, sure.
I think that way, if anybody comes back with any questions, we can say, here you go.
They have to finish the check dams down by the culvert, but wait to that.
But yeah, I would like to see us have a copy of that certification. That way it answers questions if anybody comes down the road later, you and us.
Yeah, this stuff's really easy. The 5 through 8.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah, right.
Right. Like, yeah. I'm gonna say this is really easy.
So, all right, so moving on to 6, basically the same thing, right? With engineering, making sure it's.
Yep.
So. Into engineering specifications.
I think this stuff should have been checked off before we gave any occupancy permits.
And number 7. Several other areas of concern with validating potentially the amount of topsoil by area development. Well, all right.
You read off Ian's notes?
Yeah.
Yeah, the letter that he sent to us, the 5-page.
It's the same 8 points as were in the letter. that-
Oh.
Yeah, he's a little more detailed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I put in stuff. from-
That's for me.
Oh.
So, so just, this is other final grading in topsoil. So this had to do, I guess, section, that's the last item. So, um, so I guess that's working with, regarding the topsoil and I guess sounded like seeding or,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this one, spot checking. I don't even
It's
know.
mostly at the entrance really, since that is common property, not private property. The common entrance needs a lot of work. It needs to be graded, sodded or seeded, and at the cross streets between Bowen and Bonnie, there is a lot of soil missing on the road edge.
So at Olson and at the entrance at Olson, you're saying, and then where was the other spot?
Southeast entrance,
Okay,
that all that common property up to the mailboxes and up to that first condo and her building, and then the north cross road between where Bowen joins Bonnie,
okay.
that is bare.
So up by lot 14, 15 up in that area, right?
Was it that one or is it?
And or we can reading distance from it. We talking,
It crosses twice.
yeah, this north one you said, right?
Between lot 14 and 15.
Yeah, that one, okay.
Along on the corner of that road, it's pretty bad. And then all along the road on the southeast entrance coming in.
Okay.
And the property line, the south property line.
Falls.
It's in 14 and 15?
That's that where the road.
Reading glasses.
Across the road there.
And there's, I don't know if you talked about the grading yet, but that is another issue between houses.
Yeah, because I think honestly, Mill 14 did their own landscaping and honestly, that one right there, I disagree with that 100%. But, as far as the entry goes, it's not.
So it's along the road.
Yeah, but like I said too, I know what you're also talking about too, when the snowball hits it and pulls up your grass and I'm not the one doing it, I don't want to be responsible.
That's fair.
I mean,
I make a comment here. Is that allowed?
since we are having a discussion, I will allow it. I mean, this has been, we're working towards a compromise. So yeah, I am allowing comments, so you can make it.
There is reference to the grading comment in the letter. There is a grading in between some of the houses that was so poorly done. Water is pooling in between the houses. And people are worried that their foundations are going to be compromised by this water. It needs to be regraded. And that was part of my comment about topsoil. If you add topsoil, it'll make it easier to grade so that the water can be led away from the house.
Okay, so
Because that number 7 is really the item that's being talked about.
oh, right. I mean, that's the one we're on, right?
Yeah.
So, and from what we've discussed, so the common entrance areas need to have their grading checked or repaired.
I
And,
think the grading is fine. It's just we could probably put some more black dirt on there inside. They're gonna take care
okay, and
of
the
it. Overseed it. And
that's what I got here is hand seeded or sodded. That's depending on what the West Village would like from your comments earlier. And that the West Village will be responsible for watering whatever is put in there.
Well, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, what we're going through everything right now, pretty much very concise, except for where the trees go.
You said something about you only, when you get up and first start to about where you put sod or. Because that's the only spots you get watering. So if these houses don't all have outside spigots that they can.
When you come in the body, there's that long corridor to get up.
Yeah, oh, okay, to get to there, okay, all right, okay, all right, that makes sense.
It is not graded to the property line on the south side at the entrance, though there is still grading to do there.
So again, that's a,
So this is MSA, they
That's a
look at the
capital.
calculations, figure it out, it's not.
Okay, look.
All right, so. Common areas,
Would you want me to, Kevin, look at that in front too with the side feet?
Let's see what it said.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
I mean, if there's a major problem area, it's just fix a major problem. Well,
yeah, it's not,
so another grading thing that will be looked at with MSA.
Yep.
So, and then 8, a catch basin installed higher than the surrounding grade at the intersection of Boyan and Bonnie.
that's the northern, right by that through drive again. I think I remember that story. There's a catch basin probably about that far on top of the grass, so it's not catching anything. So that just needs to be back out.
the grass.
Yeah, I think it's right at the bump, let me see. But 14, but we're on Bowen going north, you've got that, the stormwater basin in front of you,
Mhm.
right before you make the.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Alright.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8.
Yeah, I know, it's, yeah, behind 14, I know where it is.
So, yeah. So you don't need to regrade the whole thing, but you can cut down on.
Yeah, or if he wants more topsoil, I can throw some topsoil over here, okay?
Yeah.
Whatever is there. Either way.
It's a cast iron grate.
Well, yeah, on top, yeah.
All right, so basically what I just heard is the developer will remedy this. Right? That covers all 8 points, so, got direction then, correct?
Maybe give it to like May 15th of the May meeting,
Or
or just one of these. Both of the remedies.
well, I guess, maybe this will progress. I guess I would hope that in,
There's 3 of them that require you guys to get together and figure stuff out, so. I guess whenever that happens, I mean, there's only 3, the rest of them, like for the whole thing, I recommended August 1st. This is a good deadline for everything to be done, right?
The 3 being the sign, the trees.
Trees and, lights.
I could say personally, we'd come back at the February meeting and have a plan in a month.
For those 3 things.
yeah, at least an update as to where we're at.
We gotta set some guidance and timelines, or this is gonna drag on forever.
So you don't have to decide on the lights until you talk to Line Energy.
That's how I couldn't hear you.
The light situation, I mean, there's really not much for us to discuss, and you get, you want one, you need more light.
Yeah.
He's gonna get feedback from the one line. They want the 1.5 box. So really the only one that's up in the air is that extra one.
That
Yeah, well, it just, yeah, it requires
Okay.
further discussion.
so for timeline, we're thinking next meeting, which is February, to have basically these 3 compromising things ironed out.
Mhm.
And then by the time those 3 things, along with the others that we're mandating, when would we want that done by? You said August 1st.
Yeah, I think August 1st.
Some of the stuff they're not gonna do till the frost is out of the ground.
Most of it, yeah, you can't start till the frost is on the ground, so.
It's so that June first.
You're doing multiple. So I just want to make sure that everybody's got time.
And it'd be coordination and yeah.
And I don't want to set unattainable goals.
And who evaluates the work?
MSA would for the issues having to do with the grade. But for the other stuff, I'll swing back by and just make sure everything's done, whenever I'm notified that the work's been done. So,
Right.
And the certification. of the-
Yes, I will not be here in February, I'll be on that meeting, so. If they just decide, and I'm sure I'll talk to some of them there, sign, trees and lights, we just need this position. And if we can do it with a smaller light by the mailbox. You know, you can do
Well,
that.
yeah, if you guys have worked it all out, if you just want to have a letter or something, or whatever, that
We need
would
something.
be fine. Worst case, you know, it could be pushed to the March meeting, I'm sure, but I hate pushing things.
And they should be able to figure out where that.
Yeah.
That work.
Okay,
So it will be on the February planning commission meeting?
yep.
Is that gonna be February 11th then?
Correct.
That's why.
That's what I'll be here. So,
Somebody asked it.
I guess.
Well, like, I will retype all this out. What they, with.
Right, next.
Thank you for your
agenda.
time.
New business, ordinance review. Oh, yeah.
Huh, well, it's
You
all-
want to stay around for ordinance review? Really good time.
Popcorn and a beer, you're welcome to stay.
It's dedicated.
So we should be. Check.
Yeah, I'm in on office.
All right, so let's see. Yeah. It's probably. Chapter 15. Is land division.
I mean, I heard changes here and there for most of it. It's only when you get to section 15.32 and later where I rewrote entire sections to reflect like what we actually do for permit flow. Like what the permit processes are, the requirements are.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the notes that I gave you, there wasn't much in this one, but it was the other one.
Yeah.
So,
So for this one, I've got 15.057 subsection 2, which is on page 24. It lists out, you know, a bunch of different utilities, basically, you know, cable television lines. Do we want to add in there, like data communication lines?
Okay.
Something like that? Because cable television is not much of a thing anymore, but technically, some people use that as their data communication, so, but it could be fiber optic, it could be.
I forget which ordinance it was, but telegraph was still, I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I think it was utility. I still mentioned telegraph.
Disparage my telegraph.
And then I've got another one here, let's see. Oh, this was. What's this one? This is 15.061 subsection E, which deals with sidewalks. I know we had a discussion at some time in the past. Whether to have sidewalks on both sides of the street or not, basically was.
page 27.
Yeah,
That's it. Got it.
page 27, it's E, sidewalks. So I've lived in communities that have had sidewalks on both sides and sidewalks on one. And I've,
None.
yep, and some that have on none. And
I've seen it all.
yep,
So
and I actually think I like sidewalk on one side. Personally, and there's less maintenance for at least half the street. You still have a place for kids and people to walk. I mean, to walk across the street to the sidewalk has never been an issue for me. Less repairs in things, you know, just less infrastructure in general, which I think can be a benefit. I don't know how strongly we feel about sidewalks on both sides. I mean, that adds a lot of cost to the developer too, right? So.
Talking to the other administrators, like New Glarus and all their future homes will have sidewalk on both sides. Pittsburgh's on both sides, every municipality is on both sides and all developments.
I was gonna say.
Doesn't mean we have to.
Nope, but that is standard practice, and if I was moving into a neighborhood, it'd be on both sides, right?
It's not every, yeah.
I know you
You
are.
can tell you that
We have no sidewalks in our area.
Oh, but
I would never live there
your
because
housing's been in a long time. We made a conscious decision years ago that as the village board, that all subdivisions, they're all new streets would have sidewalks on both sides.
When was that? Because my little cul-de-sac only has.
Well, because it's a cul-de-sac. I think that's the only exception to the rule that we have at that point. But I mean, you look at it and maybe rest in peace, but when we did North Shore over there, there's no sidewalks over there. And that we realized that, you know, going back to the previous four decisions, that was not a good choice. So we went with this thing and I don't, it doesn't say that they're not, but yeah. Normal streets would have it on both sides. Cul-de-sacs only had to have it on one side.
and you can do one, but I'd say you need to have one, at least one sidewalk.
Yeah, I think we should.
I'm not saying no sidewalks.
I think they should be on both. And again, this is just for new subdivisions. So, you know, where I grew up, there was no sidewalks up there either. That, again, that was the rules then. So, but they've added sidewalks up in that neighborhood because of the schools and stuff. But, I think it's a safety thing as much as anything to have on both sides of the street.
And that's what the safe routes to school plan that the board approved was sidewalk on both sides. Like that is the recommendation. That is what Percy wants. Like that is the safety guidelines that the state uses.
Percy can't tell you to put it.
No, but no, when I was talking to the executive director, he's like, you should probably should do both sides. Just as a personal, as a developer, as a village planner.
No areas of that in every.
I'm good with one.
No sidewalks on one side, all sidewalks. So it's really based on the community. It depends where you go in the state. Standards. So I think I should do the one time. If you go out to it's Waukesha County.
Automatic.
The vast majority of new builds out there is no sidewalk. It's all
They got two, same company, two cardiac arrangements.
all culvert, guttering.
Where's that?
Like Waukesha County.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd vote for both sides, but except, and then maybe put an exception in there.
Call it that to me. If you guys do want to do just one side, that means I have to come up with an entirely different ordinance.
I recommend culverts.
Yeah, I would.
No, I don't recommend. That to me is rural. You know, not.
I can see the one side, totally. Like,
I mean,
it's just, you want to make sure it's messed up.
like my little cul-de-sac, I mean, that's one side, there are no culverts anywhere. I mean, my lawn goes up to, you know, the easement, which is still my lawn basically, and then there's a curb. So I don't know what the ordinance would be, if it would be sidewalk on one side, but curb on, you know.
Technically, that if we wanted to put it in, we could. So the easement still's there.
Right.
So if we eventually say, yep, there's gonna be sidewalk there, then the village puts it down our own.
Yeah.
Expense.
Yeah, well, yeah, because we could still say that, like in your cul-de-sac, we could still say, we're gonna put it in, it'll be our expense, but,
I'd really hate it if you did.
because we didn't shovel that then, so.
Yeah.
You know?
Wait for it when it heaves up on you.
I think we should do it then.
What?
I say no. Because then they're gonna want my
You're
street.
putting that bill.
Great.
Well, we could put a sidewalk in on your street. If we pay for it, we could do that.
I don't need a sidewalk.
Well, but if the village deem that a sidewalk is necessary, we can do that.
I would disagree.
Well, no, it's in ordinance that we can do that. So
Change the damn ordinance.
Doesn't mean we do it.
Change the damn ordinance. then.
If you want to. The only way you can change this is you're absolutely not going to install on a sidewalk where it doesn't currently exist.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you've got statutes.
Should be common sense.
Oh,
I think, I would, one side is fine.
I guess this commission that needs to make that decision tonight. I'm a one-sider.
I'm a one-sider.
I personally like two, but hey, having kids, it's nice to have on both
Sounds
sides.
like Gary's a two.
Two. Larry, you're the type of. Oh, yeah, because you don't have it on your side. You've got one of those, we don't have any sidewalks at all. I have a
Sidewalks over there. We did, kids wise, we were.
All right, it's like I'm coming up with an ordinance.
We have to be 3-2 then.
Here's the routes to school, people would disagree.
No, I would agree. They're gonna disagree.
Well, the safe routes to school, wasn't that for the whole
For the,
highway corridor?
no, that's for the entire village. And their recommendation that the board adopted was on both. But that's, okay, you don't have to, but that's
It's not a bad expense.
good. It's like, it needs to, personally, it really needs to be there, but you guys make the
So
decision.
that's personally.
I watch.
Personally for me, it doesn't. So.
You know, safety, major safety. Really unsafe.
Well, the board will decide, but now I gotta come up with it. So,
Okay, anyone else got anything for chapter 15 here? Hearing nothing. On to chapter 16. Which I think I submitted revisions to
You
once.
after mine, yeah.
Yeah.
You checked my doc and then went from
I
there.
got it. It was like, I thought I read this already.
Yeah.
I finished putting in everything in, right before, Mary said everything. So the one that's attached to the agenda is, it incorporates all the stuff that I wanted to.
Okay, well, I've only got like two things here, pretty minor stuff. Which might be in, I don't know if I got the latest copy, but, what page is this here? 26. Yeah, at the top of the page is number 13, adult entertainment employees. You just got some formatting.
Oh, okay.
You got to indent 1, 2, and 3 there. Everyone thought I was going to bring that.
Yeah, I was
Morning.
wondering where you're going with that.
Station. And then on page 32, under 16049, subsection 2, subsection G, washing of vehicles outside of buildings is prohibited. So I guess I'm just trying to understand why. For a personal vehicle storage facility, maybe I don't know what specifically that applies to that. And outside of buildings, I thought it. So I guess why can't you wash them outside, but you can wash them inside?
So you're saying we can't wash them outside our own garage?
No, this is a separate.
Yeah, I might be just confused as to what section I'm in and everything, but.
This is for commercials.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So those were the two items I had found. Second review.
This ordinance is much nicer. I do like all the pictograms or whatever in here. That'll go a long way, I think, in the future, so. It was a tough read, but,
And then I know that, so you had, multiple comments on ground mounted photovoltaic, the solar panels.
Yep.
And so instead of removing those or putting the language there, what I did is just made it in the residential, zoning districts, I made it conditional use instead of just flat permitted. So that way, if there are concerns from neighbors or anything else, that through the conditional use process.
Okay.
Instead of just somebody comes, gets a building permit and the next day your neighbor has solar panels everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I don't see those in my backyard. Luckily, they're my neighbor's backyard.
See, what we're seeing a lot more of now is, parking structures in those floor plans. Like, I can imagine, and this isn't in their plan, I don't think, but Colt Drive, like, they're gonna have separate parking structures for at least one of the buildings, and I'd like something like that, having panels on. The parking structure.
Like a covered parking, it's covered with solar panels.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So I've started seeing a lot of that.
which to me makes sense. You
Yeah.
know, your car's not baking in the sun, it's not getting rained on and weathered as much, and you're getting some bonus power out of it, maybe.
Maybe making some point line, yeah.
I did it first.
Oh, yeah.
That's more than,
I've never been.
it was like, oh, 09.
Oh, well. They just got that epic money.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't have anything else. I didn't take it through the extra 100 pages the second time around.
Yeah, I didn't, I figured Ian put everything in that. A couple that I looked at and they were in, so.
So, any other discussion? Hearing none? Or, wait, we need to make a motion to
I don't know, we should bring them back,
bring them to the board.
bring them back here, right, so that we can see the revisions or, right?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest revision I'm gonna have,
We can decide on site.
the only revision really I'm gonna have is having to do with the culverts and sidewalks. And that might even be a thing. I'm gonna take another look at our street construction standards to see if there's anything in there. But those are getting redone, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think so.
Yeah. So that might be a better place to do it.
Yeah, construction standards are
Should be.
this year, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Within the budget.
Yeah, so that might actually be a better place to do it.
Okay.
You think you have any more conversations on sidewalk? You've left it at one.
I thought we decided to.
The board gets.
No, the video,
Yeah.
Don't think much of it one.
I'm good with one or none.
There wasn't a formal vote, but 3 of the 5 of you wanted one.
Correct. It wasn't a formal vote.
I want a roll call.
I'm just thinking like, you know, is this gonna be some discussion at the board level that gets drawn out? You know,
Yes.
here.
Well, and that was my question, and based on Monday night and tonight, you know, so finance will recommend all these to the board. So when we get to the board meeting, how are we handling this? I know, I thought we, at one time said it would just be a repeal and recreate all of them, but
It's very, very easy to do it all at once. And you really need to do it all at once because we renumbered and shifted things around so much. So how the board reviews it, but that would be the mechanism we use to adopt, would just be to repeal and recreate.
and again, is that gonna be if whether we do that at board or a committee as a whole, that's gonna be long. Whatever night we do that, it's gonna be long.
Probably both, yeah.
Are we just recommending
You're
the?
gonna recommend, when you guys approve the finance is going over it. They really won't change something that you guys come up with most likely.
So the same 3 board members are in finance, so.
They actually, they don't have the authority to make any changes or to the zoning code.
planning commission is a different.
Yeah, planning commission.
Oh, it's-
So
So,
they can review it.
Yeah.
Still some things in here that but they don't have the authority to change it.
Yeah.
Well, can't we send it out in the agenda on the first Monday night and then everybody should read it over and then we can vote on it at the next board meeting? So instead of one long drawn out meeting, we can split it up a little bit and it's on you. We can make sure you go through it.
It's like it, we can, if that's the way it wants to do it, we can email a chapter.
It would speed it out.
Whatever, it's so, I don't know, this is special meeting. There's always.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we haven't all, not everybody's looked at all of them at the same time, so, I mean, there's 21 chapters that we're gonna have to, at the board level.
If we could,
Well, it's not, That's not tonight's discussion.
But it's just a thought.
We're having a board discussion and
My recommendation is probably have board members go to the finance committee meeting.
Yeah.
That's really where you,
Yeah,
that's where the hard work should go.
yeah.
So that would be my recommendation is board members go to the finance meeting.
Well, yes, because 7 through 13 are all coming back with the revisions from the other night, so. And 1 through 6 may have to come back, depending on what we decide to do with the committee structure, so, because those are gonna have to be reworded. One of them,
Everything is, but
yeah,
You do know, and I'm not trying to sway anybody, but if you do pick one side, adding it is gonna be hard. You're not gonna have the political will. So if you pick one side, you're gonna stick to it. My growing up in my neighborhood was one side, but we always lived on the one side. We would never buy a house on the other side. So that was just our preference. But I'm just knowing, if you try to put someone's sidewalk on somebody's side who doesn't have it now, you're gonna get fighting tooth and nail and they're gonna be up here yelling at you.
well, so the other,
You're never gonna be able
the
to.
other.
I'm not talking about forcing sidewalk onto other people.
No, but I'm saying if you ever regret not putting sidewalk on the other side,
Oh.
you're never gonna be able to put it in there.
that's actually a really easy argument for. It feels like that's not, but it's a really easy
Yeah.
argument for everyone.
Well, the other option might be to have wording, one side mandatory, two side preferred, and the decision made by the plan commission or whatever, again, because, yeah.
As a developer, I think will always.
Yeah, the developer wants.
Well, yeah, it's cheaper. At the bottom is that one.
Yeah, what happens on the developer, yeah, that saves a lot of money.
Sidewalks on, and all the.
Well, let's see, where turn sidewalk and the garage.
Public Works, it's no.
It has nothing to do with it. They don't shovel those.
Meadows when that went.
But when they have to be replaced, they have to go and inspect them all.
Yeah. Again, it's just part of the daily, it's part of the yearly job they have to do.
Could you, yeah, it complicates things more, but could you have two sides in high density and one side in lower density or vice versa?
You got hit and miss. If you got mixed density in a block,
The only other option is searching radius from the school district requires two. Anything that's not within that radius can be one.
That's kind of where my mind has been right there, Gabe, is, you know, why I was like safe walks. I thought that was just the corridor, the main thoroughways where kids are walking and stuff.
And I think that's the most concern for me is just a kid walking to school.
Yeah.
My own neighbor, in my growing up, the kid got hit because there was no school. There was no sidewalk and they got absolutely destroyed because it was terrible. So like I saw that and I'm like, I almost sidewalks because they saw it in front of me.
You know, to me, that's what I would like to see specifically is, you know, the radius from the school probably is 2 sidewalks, you know, how many miles or whatever it is.
I think that's easy.
From a school,
Yeah.
right?
As long as they don't build a new school.
What-
Let's say they annex in the land in the north and build a new school because we're so big now. And all of a sudden your neighborhood is now within the radius of the
Okay,
school.
but isn't your neighborhood grandfathered in? In the fact that the village would have to decide to put in?
Right, the
It
ordinance.
would be grandfathered
yeah,
in.
the village would have to do it at that time, so.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking
I mean,
about.
I think schools and daycare was my other thought.
That's what I was gonna say, too, like,
Churches.
Churches, yeah.
We're getting several daycares, churches and emergency,
Post office.
public, buildings.
Yeah, public, yeah.
But then you've got.
it's not, you pretty much covered everything.
We just started on.
They're not residential areas.
But if it's a radius around,
Well, yes, that's the other question, residential versus commercial. I mean, if you've got,
Commercial is less needed, most likely, in my opinion. I'm only worried about residential.
but I mean, I think schools and daycares definitely could be an exception there, and churches, you know, I mean, depending, again, kind of depends on how much off-street parking, maybe that's, and again, we're really grasping at straws here, but how much off-street parking they have, because if you got you know, if you look at First United Church down the street here, they have no off-street parking, so there should be, and there is sidewalks on both sides of the street, so people can get to that church safely and not have to walk in the middle of the road, you know? Whereas St. Francis has got plenty of off-street parking. So it's not that big an issue there, you know, I don't know.
Gary, you're right in this one.
Except when you're using a church called St. Mary's, which will.
Well, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
You just gotta remember, some of the times the schools use the churches for AP testing, emergency sites, like that kind of stuff too. There's a,
Emergency shelters if there's a fire,
right, so, I mean, not to
reunification.
complicate.
And then I see no one has their kids walk to school anymore and they all get dropped.
So.
yeah,
It's a new church.
yeah, mine is.
It's an existing building with church in it. Oh, thank you.
Well, but I mean, I think, and again, I do think there should be some exceptions because, you know, I agree within certain grades of the school and a daycare and even church, like I said, churches, I mean, we don't have any mega churches and the biggest church in town has got its own off-street parking, but,
But then again, there's gonna be a 50-unit multifamily directly to the south of that.
yeah.
But then, so maybe that should have sidewalk at least going to this.
There's a sidewalk on Frederick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
There's one on Frederick, there's not one on.
It's on the south side of Frederick.
But
not the
there's-
north.
yeah.
sidewalk, kind of, sort of. Right, you know, Same.
Yeah, there's one on the west side of Frederick, there's none on the east side, and then there's none on School Street. Or, yeah, there's none on School Street there,
It's like it's expensive.
so. You want to talk between the sidewalk when they decided to put it from the back entrance to the now elementary school up to the middle school there, you know, along Doc Donovan's little place up there and everything, that was expensive because it's, you know, like this and
Where was that? I see.
the grading and so.
I don't even know where to start with that one. And I'm pretty sure that would include everyone.
No, that's what we paid the big bucks for. Figure that out. So, oh, I made that. So.
So there's only like, just with the size and the layout of the village, the only where that,
It won't impact
the only place it wouldn't impact would be apartments.
Green Road, or that is recognized, but they won't impact the, if you just do it won't impact the cost of delivery.
No.
Yes, it will.
Not for if it's school.
No, there's 2 daycare centers, one functioning,
So you only do school.
but then we were just talking about daycare centers and churches and.
Maybe large public facilities. No, well, churches aren't public. So, yeah, how do you define, we'll add another page of the definitions ordinance, so.
I guess we could,
Okay.
Quit and then come back once it's blown over.
No.
It sounds terrible.
Just Evansville. I think that's an error.
I don't know.
I don't like-
Okay.
I get the no sidewalks. The people who don't have them now are not gonna want it. And I get that. That's completely valid. If it's one-on-one, they're not gonna want it either. So it's like,
I tend to like the idea
Um,
of not requiring sidewalks in
are you 48?
low density or ag.
Oh, 48, I think you look right.
If you're not doing sidewalks, you're probably gonna end up doing culverts, at least in some places.
No, I'm the meeting. If I
And
have
it
to go.
entirely depends on the topic. If you don't have.
That's why I first had somebody covering. Well, if there's the one that came up now is in Evansville.
that's hard.
Well, if you need me, call.
Yeah, I mean,
Pick me up. I'm a block off Main Street.
yeah,
Because I mean, with the size of the village too, and how compacted it is to the center, like any kind of radius you have around any of those buildings is gonna be. It's either not gonna be large enough to really do anything, or it's gonna be large enough that it's gonna encapsulate everyone. Except for.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like designing a highway system for thoroughfares. You got your small, you know, 1-lane roads feed into 2-lane, you know, and then the highway or whatever. And that depends on how many people are being served. Yeah.
That would actually be a better way to do it if we did it by road type.
Yeah, because there's more to it.
It would like, you know, the you're trying to show people to and from. And even that it doesn't, like, obviously, there's a state highway, but be a designated thoroughfare to get you to Main Street or to. The places that you were talking about, schools, churches and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, was there always a sidewalk along the cemetery? I'm trying to think. Or did we add that in?
It looks like that was all added as part of the campaign,
It was, okay. We did do it at that point, yeah.
because everything looks newer over there.
Yeah, because there was sidewalk on neither side. It stopped at North Shore and then went across. So yeah, we did add it up to Cary
That were-
or Carl.
Like I'd say on both sides of 69, there has to be a
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And again, when North Shore went in, there should have been some on the west side of the highway there, but, I'm guessing at that point, you know, and it's never gonna happen now because it costs a fortune to put it.
You could also do something along the lines of sidewalk on both sides of any road that has a speed limit over 25 miles an hour or something.
Which in a residential neighborhood is gonna be Everett Street.
Well, not over.
Uh,
25 is residential.
So
Greater than or equal to 25.
No,
You seen Maxine drive down my street?
see what you're doing. So. Well,
I think one side is the best compromise if you guys are really that torn.
It's just like trying to figure out, would there be some instances where two sides would be efficacious? And then what are those and how complicated does that get to?
Or can we make it that it's the planning commission's
Discretion.
Yeah.
At least we the easiest.
Yeah.
for engineering or
Sidewalk.
some sort of traffic.
Or is otherwise. By the planning commission.
There you go.
Yeah, oh, yeah, recommended or approved by the planning commission, and I would even say by the
I request the
engineering review or something,
Probably at least a minimum of one.
at least one.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Minimum of one.
I think that's the best.
And then we could have the discussion we're having now.
Now, with each development and as, you know, so another apartment, multi-unit apartment goes in somewhere, that's gonna change the number of people potentially walking.
Yeah.
And then,
Yes.
And think about this too, if you do give the plan commission the authority though, you have one thing, so that development doesn't, and then the next development does, and the next development doesn't, and the next development does, because every plan commission is different.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have no standards because every.
There you go, at least sidewalk on one side.
The sidewalk on one side, discretion of a second. Case closed.
well, what could happen, so depending on where your developments are, and where this could go is, like I just said, the further out you are, you're more likely to have one sidewalk. Well, at some point, the closest one has one sidewalk because it's closed at the moment. 10 years later, now it's, you know, or get my terms wrong, but the one closest to the school, you know, it's newest, so it probably might only have one sidewalk. And then development goes on beyond it, and that'll all have one sidewalk. But at some point, you got enough development that there's enough people walking that the village would end up having to put in probably a second sidewalk in that first part of the development.
Whereas the developer would be on the hook for the initial if there are two sides.
Right.
And if we have higher density areas where there's more people. I mean, there's arguments for both. You have more people, and then if yours have smaller lot sizes, then maybe you won't want to stop, you know what I mean?
One on side, we can always design this.
Right. Let's just, yeah, order some pizza. It's fine.
Right, I really.
I don't know.
Larry, what do you think?
I say let's just do it for new development. And if there's a problem with the older section of town, we'll do it on an individual basis.
You want to?
Well, if you require two sidewalks and there's only one, we'll have to deal with. But in new development from now on, one sidewalk for sure, irregardless of who the developer is or what the size of it is or anything. And if they determine, the engineers or whatever, it takes 2 sidewalks of that, so be it. But one for sure. And any new development from now on up.
Right, changing this doesn't mean that every existing subdivision now gets 2 sidewalks.
No, not at all.
Right, so.
Well, you pointed it out, is to the density situation. That would be a contributing factor for 2 sidewalks.
Right.
And if my memory is correct, and Gary can back me up, we helped design this years and years ago. Every development that come into Belleville, the new stuff, had to have single family, multifamily, high density family is a mixture of that development. And that's what we went by for a long time. Well, then all of a sudden, we've got some of these new developments that come in. I can point out one right straight south of us here, a lot of issues. One to the west of us, a lot of issues out there. And these people, and I'll say this and I'll stand behind it. It's money, money, money when they do something.
There you go. Agreed.
The one to the south, remember how many units they were gonna put down there? And single, narrow streets and one entrance into that outfit down there for a while. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But the developer, don't make any difference to me. I'm gonna say this is it. And I'm gonna make money on every one of them lots. Well, they backed off a little bit. And they dropped some of them on the outskirts. And we had to fight like hell to get a crossroads in there and stuff, and we're still doing that. We're fighting the state on that. That is a joke, the way those people think. And I even hate to say it, I used to work for the state, but
Me too.
but some of those ideas that they come up with, you wonder where they're coming from.
Well, and to the point that Larry made, I think the density and the width of the streets is a big issue.
Right.
So I think that if we're not gonna say 2 for everywhere, then we need to have a clause in there and that something that.
So it's reviewed or it's reflected in what's happening about.
And I think maybe, and again, I don't know if we want those in the ordinance or in a guidance or something, but the things that we're gonna look at. And again, I think density of the area, narrow width of the streets, location of the streets, all those kind of things would be things that we would consider, take into consideration when making that recommendation.
Yeah, those will all be taken into consideration. Do you have many different street widths?
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, it just really depends on age. So the older the street, the more narrow it's going to be.
Yeah, but that's kind of the point of the, I guess, there seems to be a lot of concern from, I've heard from people about, existing subdivisions and streets and is this ordinance going to impact that if our real village chooses to put a sidewalk in anywhere? I mean, if we choose and we determine that we need a sidewalk in an older subdivision, we're going to put one in, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of variables with that, but yeah, but I mean, if it's determined like School Street or Church Street or whatever the street is there, that goes kind of uphill and.
School.
Yeah, I mean, if we needed to put it there, I mean, it would cost a ton of money because of all the different, walls and whatever you have to build up and all the grading would have to be done. But
Yeah, Herman Hill, we would never decide.
Oh, God, no.
But it was,
This will apply to every new subdivision for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if the easements there, which likely is because of the age of the road, then we would end up having to maintain, wherever we want to put the sidewalk in anybody's property. And
That's a great word.
it pisses, well, not everybody, it pisses most people off. Rightfully so, I hate doing that. But yes, we end up paying a fair market value for whatever square footage of we're taking and then.
And again, we're changing the rule, the ordinance for replacing sidewalk is not gonna be 100% on the village.
Yep.
So it's not, there'll be, you know, so either way, if we go one side and any sidewalks get added, or even the sides that are in need to get replaced, that's gonna be all on the village now, so.
Well, I mean.
If it's bad,
If the homeowner wants the sidewalk,
then it's theirs.
then they,
Yeah. But again, I don't know if we would allow one property owner to put a sidewalk in front of his lot in the middle of a block and not have everybody else do it, so.
deny it, recommend them.
Yeah,
Someone must really love their sidewalk if they want to put their own in.
It's their lot. If they want to put a sidewalk on it, go for it. Gonna look a little silly, but go for it. It's your expense. Anything else there, Mr. President?
And that's it. The only way someone is to pay for sidewalk is if they're responsible for damage.
If they damage it.
a contractor, you know.
So if they
I'll- yeah.
asked us to put in the sidewalk, we could deny it, but they don't have to pay for it.
All right, so we're gonna move forward with the one sidewalk plan.
Correct.
Which Ian's gonna revise that a bit to the best of his abilities. But I think for some guidance, that are we in agreement that all new subdivisions will have a minimum of one sidewalk? There'll be nothing within the village that is ditches, having culverts, right?
Yes.
Well, the side that doesn't have a sidewalk, like,
No. It's gotta be graded in a way that wouldn't have that. I mean, you have storm sewer.
Yeah, you would still have curb and gutter.
Yeah. You have curb and gutter yet and storm sewer and.
Yeah, is that in our ordinance that all streets have to have curb and gutter? Okay.
I would find tooth and nail if you don't look at the.
Should be.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, we should. Yeah. I thought it was in there as a.
Yeah, I'd say one thing for sidewalk, it makes a really clear definition between the homeowner's property and then that section that the village is responsible for too. Which is helpful if you're not just thinking about sidewalk, you know, it's like, otherwise, it's like really.
Yeah.
Curb and gutter.
you're dying on every hill lately.
Yeah, because, I mean, the other thing, that, not necessarily, but, you know, public lands in new subdivisions, parks should have it. On all, you know, both, so like, you know, on like corner, if a corner lot is a park, it should have it on both sides of that, you know, whatever, so, or.
All right.
And during the plat process, we will map out where the sidewalks are, so we will know, you know, where things will go, so I think it works.
All right. Some degree.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second, Kate.
Stuff before what?
You got you sort of on boardish.
Yeah, sort of.
Any other mission member announcements, statements, questions, future agenda items, or in our next meeting is February?
So guess what? The public hearings come back next.
Very.
Got 3 of them.
Make sure you're there.
So one, a comp plan and a rezone and a conditional use permit, not all the same. Comp plan rezone is 221 Fredericks, and then the conditional use permit is lot 29, which is the Kona Ice warehouse that they'll go on the west side. So those are coming up next meeting. Rejoice.
And when is the Lakota group coming to talk to us the first time?
I'm not sure. They'll have focus groups and stuff like that, so I'm not sure what they just were here yesterday looking at some stuff.
They're both some groups, just not you.
Being the body that makes the recommendation, they're, you know.
But you feel so slighted, Gary.
All right, so we've got a motion.
I'm going to have the same thing at work.
For adjournment. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned at 7:50.